Hello and welcome back to JM Football. Welcome back to another divisional preview. It is Dalton Philly. It is Justin Penik. We are in the warehouse today. Dalton Philly, we are talking about the NFC South. We're getting the Souths out of the way right in the middle of these divisional previews. So yeah, I think that if you're a podcast person, we're doing a hand swipe motion. Just get it done with, get out of the way as my hand is in your shot. I mean, we're going to start off with
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who last year they went 10-7. They lost in the wild card round to the Washington Commanders, 23-20. The Bucs are like secretly one of my favorite teams. They were 5th in offensive EPA per play, really good offense. 5th in EPA per dropback, 6th in EPA per rush. And one of my frustrations with the Tampa Bay Bucs last year is, why is your defense not good? They were 17th in defensive EPA per play, 19th in EPA per dropback, and they're always good against the rush. Todd Bowles' defense, 7th in EPA per rush. I honestly think they were I know EPA per play, we like it, it's efficiency, it's good. Feels like they were worse than 17th on the defensive side of the ball. Don't Philly, give me your thoughts on the Tampa Bay Bucs as we head into 2025.
Well, dude, first off, we got to start on the offensive side of the ball because, once again, I feel like it's been a narrative for Baker Mayfield in his entire career. Guess what, buddy? Get ready to learn new offensive coordinator because it's happened almost every year. I mean, just going through the list, this is his 8th year in the National Football League, his 8th different offensive coordinator. Todd Haley and Freddie Kitchens in 2018. Todd Monken, who's now a great offensive coordinator for the Ravens, 2019 with the Browns. Alex Van Pelt's been the only guy he's had for multiple years, 2020 and 21. Ben McAdoo, you know that guy. And Liam Cohen in 22 when he bounced from the Panthers and Rams. Dave Canales in 23, he gets a head coaching job. Liam Cohen comes back, this time with the Bucs. Now he gets a head coaching job, and now it's Josh Grizzard, who was the passing game coordinator last year, and he's been in the organization for the last couple of years, so at least there'll be some continuity for Baker Mayfield in his offense. But again, it is the most frustrating thing for a quarterback to learn a new system, and I think, at least in this instance, Josh Grizzard kind of has a sense of what Baker likes to do, and so hopefully there's not as much changes because Baker over the last couple of years has been a very, very good quarterback, and he's won the division in the NFC South for a reason the last couple of seasons.
I mean, he was an MVP candidate at one point last year. Yeah. You blinked and it's October, November, and you're like, is Baker Mayfield an MVP candidate? And the answer was yes. He certainly was. And that's what I do like about heading into this year, like you said, that hopefully things won't be too dramatically different. We're not talking about going over to a completely new system. And I'm pretty proud of myself because last year, as we were doing more football stuff and talking about football multiple times a week, and hey, we're starting to get back into it with this, but I was proud of myself heading into last year being like, I think the Bucs and that offense are actually going to be better under Liam Cohen than they were with Dave Canales, because I know people were giving Dave Canales his flowers, and rightfully so with what he did in Tampa in his OC year there. But I'm also saying, they did not run the ball well. They ran the ball a ton on early downs. It didn't go anywhere. Baker Mayfield had to do so much work on third down, and is that kind of stuff sustainable? I'm like, no, it's not, but I think Liam Cohen can come in, and they could be better on early downs. They could throw the ball more on early downs, and I'm of the belief in the year 2025 that I think for most teams, the NFL, the pass sets up the run because the game of football is a numbers game.
Efficiency, yep.
It's a numbers game where, hey, if you're running into boxes of 8-9 guys, then odds are you just shouldn't be running the ball regardless of personnel unless you're the Eagles and you have a kick-ass offensive line, right? Or the Lions. But they played the numbers game right, better. They started throwing the ball more on early downs, and also they have improved their offensive line. But talk to me about how the Bucs last year, they actually did throw the ball more on early downs compared to what they were doing with Dave Canales, and they ran the ball better.
Yeah, when we were talking about this off camera, one thing Dave Canales and the Bucs offense did in 2023, they were just running the ball on early downs, and they did not care if it was successful or not. That was their motion of the game. It was like, hey, Rachaad White, you're going to go get the ball, and if you pick up 2 yards, we'll live with it. If you pick up 5 or 6 yards, great. But last year, first half of the games, they were number 10 in first down pass rate. That was up from second worst in 2023 under Dave Canales. So Liam Cohen was like, hey, we got to adjust this. Let Baker Mayfield cook on early downs, especially early in the game. Because in 2023, this team was playing from behind a lot in the second half, and they'd have to rely on Baker Mayfield with these comeback victories. And going off of that, they were number 5 in early down pass rate, up from bottom 5 last year. So we saw under Liam Cohen, Baker Mayfield was cooking early, whether it be first down or within the first half. Chris Godwin, prior he got hurt. Mike Evans, obviously a future Hall of Famer. You have some good guys on the outside. give them the ball, and it opens up the run game, as we saw last year with Rashad White and Bucky Irving being super efficient because of it.
First and second down, where were they in EPA per play?
First and second down.
It's not in our notes. Trivia.
Well, I mean, I thought I was like, oh.
Nope, don't cheat.
First and second down pass or overall?
Overall.
I'm going to say first they were 7th, and I'm going to say second they were number 1.
Second, you got it reversed. First and second down, they were 5th. Just on first down, they were 2nd.
Really?
Which is awesome.
Good for them.
Which is awesome. And that's one of the reasons why, like, okay, well, they're changing OCs again. Is there going to be a change? That's one of the reasons why I think they can sustain their success. It's not like we're relying on third down magic, third and long magic from Baker Mayfield. Those questions were there last year. But again, I was proud of myself being like, well, Liam Cohen, I think, is going to come in here and do some different stuff schematically with the run game. Hopefully they continue that too. And roster-wise, offensive line is in a much more stable spot. Graham Barton at center is heading into year 2. Cody Mauch had a really good second year as a guard after a rocky first year, so he's heading into year 3. Ben Bredesen has been a solid find for them.
He's been around for a while.
Former starter for the Giants. Giants should have held on to him, and they got some good tackles too. Tristan Wirfs, timeline injury-wise, are we okay?
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
But now going to the defensive side of the ball, you can't talk about the Bucs without Todd Bowles and his defense. Always good against the run. You alluded to it when we're talking about defensive EPA per play. They did face the second fewest rushing attempts last year from running backs because everyone knows the way to beat this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense was in the passing game. They lost Carlton Davis in free agency last year, and it was like, hey, Antoine Winfield got banged up, who obviously is a playmaker in the back end, only playing 9 games. So teams were taking apart this secondary in Tampa Bay, and hopefully they can adjust this year. I think one of the biggest things to watch for is Levante David getting older and Antoine Winfield just being healthy. Levante David turned 35 in January, and it's amazing how effective he was still at the age of 34. He had 14 run stuffs, which was 17th among qualified linebackers.
Yeah.
A guy has played basically 15 years in the National Football League and is still being super effective. It's him and Bobby Wagner. They just age like fine wine at the linebacker position. But I know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pass rush, there are a couple guys that you want to talk about as your X factor for this team.
Yeah, I mean, pretty sure he was our X factor last year too, but it's Kalijah Kancey, and you just have it started at the NFL draft and it started at Pitt. You just have the biggest, draft crush, biggest man crush on Kalijah Kancey and how much of a freak he is and how much he can move. And year 2, from a pass rushing standpoint, was a little bit better than year 1. We still got to get a little bit better against the run, but I mean, you're on the Bucs, and they're already so good against the run. I think year 3 for Kalijah Kancey, year 3 and year 4 is when you start talking about interior defense alignment. That, all right, if they're going to reach new heights, this is when they're going to reach him. And he's already shown flashes of being a really, really good player. I think he could be a dominant player in the NFL. I think he could be a dominant star type of player in the NFL if he puts it all together. He was top 10 in both sacks and QB hits when it comes to interior defensive linemen last year. He needs to win more. Like, the win rate needs to be a little bit higher and a little bit more consistent for him. And I think year 3 is the time where he can take that next step as well. Also, Yaya Diaby. Now, he didn't get as many sacks as his rookie year, even in more snaps, but he did more than double his quarterback hits, according to Pro Football Reference. So Yaya Diaby's a guy that I really like too. They're going to need those 2 guys to continue to take steps up. And if you're talking about a secondary, what worries me a little bit is that they didn't do too much to fix this secondary. Yeah. They're kind of running it all back. And
Mel Dean is back.
They allowed a lot of explosive plays. Now, an aggressive Todd Bowl defense, you need Jimmies and Joes, and you're going to play a lot of man coverage on the back end. The guys got to make sure that they're communicating in the right spots. So, it could be, especially when your defense is so aggressive like that, your scheme is really dictating when is the ball being released and all that kind of shit. But if you put the quarterback on the ground, it makes your life easier for your secondary in the back end, right? They got to get teams in third down. They got to get teams in third and long and third down. They have to stop allowing explosive plays on the defensive side of the ball if they're going to take that next step. And being average and being okay and solid should be fine for the Tampa Bay Bucs, because that offense, I continue to have top 10, top 7 expectations for that Tampa Bay Bucs offense led by Baker Mayfield. And we haven't even talked about Emeka Egbuka.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Justin, because really quick, because Chris Godwin, it's been that ankle. He gets the extension. He comes back to Tampa Bay. and his timeline just getting pushed back farther and farther. It's expected he might be even placed on the PUP list, so he might miss the first 4 games to begin the year. Emeka Egbuka, I'm very excited to watch him play. We're talking about draft crushes. He was one of mine this year because this guy is just a smooth operator. Great song, by the way, too. Like, he's just so fluid in his routes, getting the ball, and he's going to be I don't want to say Chris Godwin 2.0, but I think he'll be very effective.
Yeah, I think he has a high floor.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that ceiling is because he's not the best athlete, but he's I think smooth operator is a pretty good way to put it. Coming from Ohio State, these receivers drafted from Ohio State, you typically can't go wrong. These last couple of years, I just can't see him not being a solid NFL player. Do I think he could be a star? I don't know. See. The athletic limitations may hold him back, but even a guy running around in LA right now, Puka's no amazing athlete, but the guy knows how to run routes, the guy knows how to win, and he's become a superstar himself.
Wish Egbuka went to the Broncos, all I want to say, because that would have been a fantastic landing spot for Bo Nix. Yeah. But over under Justin Penik, it's 9.5. Yeah. Want to do it on 3? What are we thinking?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, over, and they win the South.
Yeah. I mean, again,
it's 10 wins.
We are going a little bit of chalk, but you know what? I don't think this team lost too much this offseason, and I think Baker Mayfield in this offense is still a really good unit, top 10, arguably top 5, and I think the Saints, the Panthers, and Falcons have to work their way up in order to be successful in terms of taking on the Bucs, because this team is still, I think, clearly number 1.
Yeah, that defense has to be better, though. They
especially the back end of it.
Yeah, Todd Bowles, defensive coach, let's go, man. Let's step it up. I'm rooting for the Bucs, though. I love Baker's story. I love his progression and following his career and what he's had to deal with adversity-wise. So let's go Bucs. Kind of like one of my favorite teams in the NFL. Let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons. Not one of my favorite teams in the NFL. They finished 8-9 last year. They did miss the playoffs. Michael Penik starts the last 3 games for them. He finishes the year 1-2. They were 13th in offensive EPA per play, 16th in EPA per dropback, 7th in EPA per rush. There is legitimate excitement for what this run game could be, obviously led by Bijan Robinson. 20th in defensive EPA per play, and opposite of Todd Bowles and the Bucs. Actually, no, it's the same thing. I thought that would have been worse.
Yeah.
It feels like it was much worse than
really
20th.
Bad.
25th in EPA per dropback, 18th in EPA per rush. Dalton, Philly, I think this is one of the first teams that in a while, I think AFC South, we were pretty in sync with a lot of teams. I think this is the first team in a little while that I think we may disagree on. I think the Falcons may be closer to number 1 pick territory than playoff territory. I don't think they're going to finish with the worst record in the NFL, but if you had to put a gun to my head,
sure,
and ask me what side do they swing, I say closer to being one of the worst teams in the league than the best, and I think that's a hot take, and a lot of people disagree with that.
I'm excited for this offense. I am going to start with my X factor because this is somebody I want to talk about for the Atlanta Falcons, and I believe this is the second time I'm picking somebody who is not a player within the team. I'm going offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, and here's my biggest thing. When we talk about coordinators, right, and drawing up plays, first off, Zach Robinson, for those who don't know, he's under the Sean McVay tree, which is always a good sign for offenses, right, as we want to develop, whether it be younger quarterbacks or just flat out trying to put up points.
Yeah, McVay tree seems to be better than any other tree right now to pluck from.
Any tree. It's going to be, we talk about the Bill Parcells tree and the Andy Reid coaching tree. I think in 20 years, we're going to be talking about the Sean McVay tree in the very similar facet. But going back to Zach Robinson, the one thing he's done really well is scripting first drives. And that's impressive. There's 2 things you have to do as an offensive coordinator. Number 1, you got to script it up, right? Your first 15, 20 plays, got to be electric, got to put points on the board right away, set your tone for the game. And number 2 is in adjusting and adopting to what the defenses are doing during the game and making sure that you're not being predictable, if you will. But for Zach Robinson in this offense, this is through Kirk Cousins. To be clear, this is about 5-6 of the season through week 15. The Atlanta offense is ranked number 2 in total plays per first drive, number 2 in fewest 3-and-out percentage on the first drives, number 3 in EPA per, number 7 in points per drive, and number 3 in EPA per play on first drives. Penik, they're putting points on the board. They're being efficient. They weren't turning the ball over. That's what I want to see from this offense with Michael Penix, right? Let's script it up. Let's get a couple plays to Drake London, to Bijan Robinson. Let's put points on the board early, and Penix doesn't have to stress about it. Get an early lead and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, getting an early lead, especially for this team, will be will be huge for them, right?
Yeah.
Historically, they, especially 2 years ago, they were really good at stopping the run, which whole other criticism for Raheem Morris, which we'll get to. But if this team is going to stay alive and have the type of season that they're going to, no shit Sherlock, it's going to obviously come down to Michael Penix. But also, like, I view Zach Robinson as a guy that can maybe be a head coach in this league.
Agreed.
And I think he's giving the Falcons a fighting shot right now and a fighting chance. I really do, because I do not like Michael Penix. I didn't like Michael Penix as a prospect, and then especially what you saw in the 3 games last year. And I think there's even I'm going to try not to talk about camp and preseason stuff, but seeing that there's inaccuracy issues at training camp, I don't know if Michael Penix is going to do the easy stuff, the quick game, 0 to 9 yards well in the NFL. Because I think there was questions about that in college. We know that he can throw a deep ball. We know that he can throw the contested ball. We know that the arm is electric. I don't doubt that. But what you're going to be doing on most of your throws, and especially as teams start to figure out if Michael Penix's arm is that electric, and if they start playing too high,
that's exactly what they're going to do.
Then you're going to have to operate a quick game. Or you can even look at it, well, okay, go ahead, play too high. We'll just run Bijan Robinson. My thing is, too, if you look at this roster and this offense, I think for how much of a genius Zach Robinson is, they cannot do anything but 11 personnel.
That's it.
You cannot put Michael Pitts in line to block. So even when you are trying to run 11 personnel and like, all right, let's put a tight end on there to get an extra blocker, you can't do that. You can't fully do that. And maybe they have a blocking tight end in there that I'm not privy on.
Well, let me tell you, I mean, it's one thing. The McVay tree is 11 personnel only. That's why the Falcons ran a league high in 11 personnel, nearly 95%. But the biggest thing is, you alluded to it, over the last 9 games of the season, Charlie Warner, remember Charlie Warner? He outsnapped Kyle Pitts for that same reason, Penik, because he's the blocking tight end where Kyle Pitts...
He's a good blocking tight end.
Yeah, he's a great blocking tight end. That is his role, where Kyle Pitts is a receiving tight end. So that is where you're alluding to, like, the 11 personnel being an issue, where Kyle Pitts is kind of getting pushed to the wayside because he hasn't been nearly effective, and they haven't found a good role for him in that passing game, and quite frankly, in the entire offensive side of the ball, because he's not a good run blocker either.
But Charlie Warner offers 0 as a receiver. So then you get extremely predictable, and that's one less guy that you can kind of consistently and reliably go to.
It's more 6 offensive linemen at that point.
Yeah, but I'm a big fan of, and there's data to back this up, the coaches that utilize 3 to 4 different personnel, utilizing personnel formations, different personnels, your likelihood of winning goes up, and your likelihood of winning like sustainably also goes up as well. And they just can't do that. I love the weapons that they have. I think Drake London's underrated. I think Darnell Mooney really worked last year well with Kirk Cousins. More surprising than I thought at certain times. Kyle Pitts can be a weapon. Bijan's an alien. You have Tyler Algier at number 2 as well. So the infrastructure is there and the offense coordinator is there, but I think there's a ceiling question with this offense. There's a ceiling question with this team of, I think, 7 and 8, somewhere between 7 and 8 wins is their ceiling. Wow. And they're also handcuffed. They can't do anything as a roster. They're handcuffed because they're paying Kirk Cousins $40-some million to be a backup quarterback, the most expensive backup quarterback in NFL history. And you can't do anything with the roster. You can't spend money to fix that defense. And then also, they had to trade because they needed to fix the defense, and you can't do anything in free agency. You had to trade up back into the first round to get a pass rusher and give up a haul. Oh, the Falcons had a great draft. They got Jalen Walker, who is like a positionless player. Okay, I like him. And James Pierce Jr., who has character concerns and teammate concerns, and also had troubles and runs in with the law.
He runs fast. That was the big thing with James Pierce. Like, we knew at the 40, but outside of that, like, it was curious to see if he's going to develop as a pure pass rusher himself. Justin Penik, I do agree with you. Like, the Falcons, if we're talking about the other side of the ball, they could not get to the quarterback, and that has been a consistent issue with the Atlanta Falcons over the last few years, quite frankly. They finished 30th in pressure percentage and 31st in sacks accumulated. And usually pressure percent is indicative of recording sacks, right? So when you're ranking low in pressure percentage, you're more likely to rank low in sacks. And guess what? They're bottom 3 in both of these categories. I do appreciate the Falcons at least attempting to improve their pass rush. You get Pierce, you get Walker. Leonard Floyd also signs back in. Who's been bouncing around the league for a little bit. So sure, but I am so with you, Penik. Like I'm bullish about this offense because I'm excited to see what Michael Penix looks like. Can he adapt to not being just a deep ball thrower? But the defensive side of the ball, you bring in Jeff Ulbrich as new defensive coordinator. Can this group figure it out? That is the biggest question. Raheem Morris, a great defensive mind. We saw him when he was with the Rams. Oh, don't give me that. I mean, come on. It's true. We saw him with the Rams for sure. But I think we've gotten to the point, the over-under 7.5. I'm still internally battling because I believe in this offense, and I just don't know if I believe in this defense.
I believe in the offense. I believe in I believe in Robinson. I don't believe in Michael Penix. So I'm going to go under. This defense last year, I have it written down. They could not get off the field. They didn't allow explosive plays, but they were 28th in points per drive. They were 27th in yards per drive. They did not allow explosive plays. That was not their issue. That they couldn't get off the field. Yep. They will die by 1,000 cuts, and that's what Raheem Morris is kind of fine with doing. And I just don't see what did they do this offseason that will change that. And I do not think trading. I mean, I get it. You don't first 2 rookies take it at the back end of the first round. You don't. I don't care who you are, and I don't care if I even like the pick or I hated the pick, whatever. I understand that those 2 guys aren't going to come in here and change the franchise right away, but for a big year as it is, because Michael Penix is on his rookie contract, and you kind of need to take advantage of it, but also you're paying Kirk Cousins all this money, so then you can't do much. So you had to be aggressive in the draft and trade up, and now you compromise your future in the draft because for an edge rusher at the back end of the first round, I don't know, man. I think the Falcons gave up more to get an edge rusher than the Giants gave up to go get a quarterback in Jackson Dart.
I'm going to go with the under as well.
I convinced you.
You kind of did.
I wanted you to go over just so we could be different.
No, we're not. We're 2 of the same mind, I guess. I just can't buy into this defense yet. I do believe in Penix. That's not my issue. I think this offense is going to be one of the better offenses in football, one of the biggest surges in offensive ability.
If the offense is going to be good, they're playing in the South, then go over.
But it's the defense. I don't trust it. I'm sorry. I can't rely on a defense that doesn't get to the quarterback.
If they're
2 rookie pass rushers, that is a very tough position to come into the NFL and be dominant in. And I just can't see year one those guys being good.
If you score 24 points against the Panthers and Saints in all 4 of those matchups, those are 4 wins.
I guess we're going to have to talk about the Carolina Panthers.
All right, so we'll talk about the Carolina Panthers. We're both going under.
We're going under for the Falcons.
And I'm kind of a Falcons hater, and I've been trying to be more positive on teams because I have been finding whispers. If you're more positive on teams, you kind of get more views on YouTube instead of just shitting on everything. But I can't help but hating the Falcons process. I still do not, for the life of me, get how you sign Kirk Cousins and then draft Michael Penix. I do not get it for the life of me. And you're paying the price. You're paying the price if you're a Falcons fan. You're paying the price because you did nothing this offseason to really upgrade that defense, and you sacrificed long-term draft picks to go up and get a guy that has character concerns and locker room concerns. Okay, Carolina Panthers, a team that I do like. They finished with their 5-12 record last year. They did miss the playoffs. They finished 23rd in offensive EPA per play, 26th in passing, 11th in EPA per rush, and they were horrible on the defensive side of the ball. 32nd in defensive EPA per play, 31st in EPA per dropback, 32nd in EPA per rush. You had Bryce Young come in the first 2 weeks and look kind of really bad, and it reminded you of what Bryce Young was doing his rookie year. Holding on to the ball, taking bad sacks, a lot of bad plays, a lot of negative plays, a lot of turnovers. And then I'm pretty sure even in that week 2 game, Canales was like, all right, I'm stripping that all away from you. We're going to check it down, and you are going to get rid of the ball quick. And it was even bad then, and drives went nowhere. So then they pulled the plug on Bryce Young. Andy Dalton comes in. He unfortunately gets into a car accident where he messes up his thumb a little bit. Bryce Young takes back the starting job. And Dalton Philly, talk to me about Bryce Young and Carolina Panthers from that point, because they finished the season off somewhat strong.
Yeah, I mean, the final 10 weeks, when Bryce Young got benched, there were real concerns about, hey, is this it? Was this his swan song? Not necessarily within the National Football League, but with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
But
after giving up that much to get him, It's like, oh my God. And CJ Stroud's doing what he's doing in Houston. So
exactly. I mean, regret, right? 2020 vision.
But maybe not.
But going back to Bryce Young, sometimes, and we've had this discussion off camera in terms of my Indianapolis Colts about benching a quarterback. Sometimes it is best to, hey, sit a guy down, learn from a veteran quarterback, adapt, and get back in there. And hopefully we've learned some things, whether it be through film sessions, through watching your teammate play quarterback. But over that final 10 weeks, there is something cooking with Bryce Young. Now, granted, he did play the easiest defensive schedule for quarterbacks.
That's the thing.
At the end of the year. So take that with a grain of salt. But he had 15 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He had a big-time throw of 7.7% per PFF. Love this in PFF, which was the highest in the NFL over this span. Yeah. The only thing is, and this is a little bit of a red flag, and sometimes it is based on the roster surrounded by you. Since 2000, this is from Warren Sharp. We love Warren Sharp too. We love doing our readings. Since 2000, there are 37 quarterbacks to start 25 or more games over their first 2 years in the NFL as a starter. Young is the only quarterback to lead at halftime in fewer than 6 of those starts. Carolina Panthers do not find ways to get leads early and go into halftime with the lead. So you're always playing from behind, which means Bryce Young has to get that backpack on and start trying to carry this offense to winning games, which led to them last year have, of their 5 wins, 3 of them were in overtime because they had to come back in these games. I'm really curious to see how Bryce Young looks in year 3. Is he going to look like year 1 / the first 2 games of the season, or towards the end of year 2, getting even better and better? Look, you're the number 1 overall pick. Dave Canales is a highly touted offensive coordinator. That's your head coach, not from Justin Penik. We got to see it year 3. It's now or never. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it'll be not as good as what it was in the last 10 games of last year, but not as bad as what we saw his rookie year. I think that's fair. You mentioned 3 of those wins came in overtime last year. It was 3 of those wins that came in overtime were in the last 10 games. Bryce Young went 4-6 as a starter the last 10 games, and 3 of those wins came in overtime. 2 of those wins came against divisional opponents in the Saints and Falcons as well. So that's like a little bit of a good sign. Where the NFC South, what it may come down to, and this is a no shit Sherlock kind of statement.
Love it.
But, not really, because the Packers didn't do well in their division last year, and they still found a way to, make the playoffs. You got to beat up on teams in this division because you're going to be facing these teams with question marks, especially the teams from 2 to 4, right? Yeah. The Bucs, kind of the clear favorite, right? But if you're Falcons, Panthers, Saints, you got to be thinking to yourself, how can I get wins against those other 4, against those 2 teams in those games, and even the Bucs, where you can, maybe you can take advantage and score 31 points, and it's a 31-27 victory, and you walk away with it, right? So from week 8 on, Bryce Young was 17th out of 33 qualified quarterbacks in EPA per play. He was 14th in CPOE, which is an accuracy metric, and you mentioned the big time throw rate. He was 7th in average air yards per attempt. And that's what I love.
Yeah.
What he did is slinging it down the field a little bit to who? Jalen Coker?
You're a cokehead.
I'm a cokehead.
Always have been.
Jalen Coker, Adam Thielen was hurt, and even when he came back, he wasn't fully healthy. Like, who are we throwing the ball to?
Xavier Leggett.
Yeah, like, okay. Who are we slinging it to? Who are we slinging the ball to? And Dave Canales gave him a preseason challenge of get rid of the ball in 2.8 seconds or less. Stop holding onto the ball. Stop taking sacks. Yep. Stop. We can't have it. Sacks are going to end drives in the NFL. We cannot have it. And what did he finish his season average last year in time to throw?
2.75.
2.79.
Oh!
So he did it.
He did it. Challenge defeated, Dave Canales.
Sure if you take out the first 2 weeks, it maybe gets even a little bit less because those first 2 weeks were pretty damn bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for Bryce Young. I don't fully know. I don't think it'll be as good as, like, if we're talking about the end of the year, he's 17th in EPA per play. I consider that a win. And why I think people are really celebrating Bryce Young, it's because I think 17th out of 33 is nothing to really write home about, right? But what it was so bad his rookie year.
So bad.
It was like, oh my God, this is like historically bad from like a number 1 overall pick.
The Panthers were getting dunked on.
So the fact that he was average, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is insane.
Yeah.
So I am excited for them. Excited for him. Love Adam Thielen coming back. Hopefully he's healthy. don't want to talk too much about preseason. He looked really comfortable in that preseason game, throwing that ball to Tet and starting to get some good connection with Tet. There was a throw that he had in his first game in the preseason game where Tet dropped the ball. Like he turned his head a little too late as he was coming out of his break, and Bryce is like putting that ball right between two defenders. Like, this is really good anticipatory throwing and really good timing, and Ted even like gave him a point after the play. Like, damn, man, that was really good. Right. I got to turn my head and I got to catch that touchdown. I love what they're building on both sides of the ball with the lines. That has been since day one.
The engine.
I think they know as a team, it's like, we're going to struggle in certain areas. But what are we going to do? We are going to commit a ton of money, and we are going to commit draft capital to our lines. Yep. That is what we are going to do. O-line, they really did it last year.
Yep.
And then D-line, they continue to do it this year. Like, Ashawn Robinson is one of their backups, who's like a really quality interior defensive lineman in terms of stopping the run. They bring in Tashawn Wharton from Kansas City, who kicked ass in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Patrick Jones, who's
like Pat Jones. Oh,
yeah.
He was good with the Vikings last year out of Pitt. Yeah.
I also really love drafting Princely from Ole Miss in the third round, and Nick Scorton from Texas A&M.
You've liked Scorton.
One of those higher ceiling guys. And drafting edge rushers in outside of the first round, it can get a little dicey. But if any of those guys can have like a Yaya Diaby type of rookie year, different body types, different players. But saying production-wise, if any of them can kind of sneak up on you, and I could see either one of those guys maybe surprising people, especially Nick Scorton, on having like a really solid rookie year, that will really help that defense. They have to be better against the pass.
They have to be better in general.
Everything. They were really historically bad. Let's talk about them really quick because we spent a lot of time.
Quickly. Historically bad defense. They ranked 32nd overall, 32nd against the pass, 32nd against the run. You know what that means, Justin Penik? Half glass filled kind of guy. There's only one way to go, and that's up.
We
what?
Retire the phrase. It can't get worse.
It can't get worse.
As a Giants fan, I've retired that phrase. It can only
be the same. It can only be 32nd. But that said, my X factor really quickly is
ranking-wise, yes.
You
can't get worse than 32nd.
X factor-wise for me is Derek Brown, former first-round pick out of Auburn, interior defensive lineman. Dude can play. He's a mauler. And I think one of the biggest reasons why this Panthers defense was just getting freaking ripped apart, especially on the inside run and against the run, was Derek Brown being hurt. Played one game, hurts himself with a meniscus tear in his knee, I believe, versus the Saints. Done for the year. And guess what? They finished dead last in yards per carry allowed to running backs and yards before contact. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Like, if we're going to, sometimes after contact, missing tackles, that's one thing. But, dude, we're not even getting a push. We're not creating some interior disruption. That's a massive issue. So I think Derek Brown coming back will be a big contributor to stopping the run and making this Panthers defense look a little bit better from last year.
I couldn't believe as an interior D lineman he had over 100 tackles in 2023.
Pro Bowler, yeah, very good.
And when he hits, he doesn't get sacks, but he hits
that's
the
not
quarterback.
His role.
If you're hitting the quarterback in the teens as an interior defensive lineman,
and it's a zero tech,
I think that's pretty damn solid. And they have other pieces around him that, like those are the guys that should get after the quarterback, like Wharton, like Jones, and the two rookies that they just drafted. So Derek Brown, go and continue to be a stud player and stop the run.
Over under time. 6.5.
I don't know, man.
I do. I'll go first.
I don't know if they're talented enough.
I want to take the over, but this is one where I feel more confident in taking the under, just because 5 wins, and hey, they won 5 wins. They won 5 wins. Very good sentence. I just don't think the defense is there yet either. Like, I had my concerns with the Falcons, but this team was worse defensively, way worse defensively than the Falcons. And I'm worried about the Falcons defense. At least, and I will say the Panthers did make their additions on the defensive side, like you said. I'm just not that sure if it's there yet. I think that they win 6 games, just underneath the over-under mark. I think they're a 6-win team. I think they're 1 win better. I don't know if they get to 7 and 10.
Yeah.
They beat the Saints twice, and then I think the Bucs and Falcons beat up on them, plus the rest of their schedule.
I'm gonna go under 2 because
you don't want to.
Even the 5, I don't want to because I love what they're doing, building it on the O line, building it on the D line.
Yeah.
They're putting so much resources into it. I don't want to, but I just don't like that all those wins came in overtime last year and
could be regression.
Really favorable pass defense schedule and shit like that. So. I will go under as well, but I'm very unsure of it.
Okay. Leads us to our final team, Justin.
Yeah, I don't know how much time we're spending on this team. The Saints, they're 5-12. They missed the playoffs last year. They were 25th in offensive EPA per play. They were 30th in EPA per dropback. They can run the damn ball, though. 10th in EPA per rush. 19th in defensive EPA per play. 12th in EPA per dropback. Defensively, really bad against the run on defense. They were 30th in EPA per rush on the defensive side of the ball. Dalton, new head coach. Kellen Moore.
He's got quite a road ahead of him in terms of turning this Saints team around, because I'll be honest, his first step might be 2 steps back before taking 1 step forward. They went 5-12 last year, like you said. I think they're their number 1 pick in 2026. I think they are the worst team in football, and I think one of the biggest things is that quarterback room. Right now it's Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck, and Jake Haener. 3 guys, and no offense to any of them, I have no trust in any of them.
They listed Rattler as the starter in their unofficial early depth chart.
The Saints last year were 5-5 in games where Derek Carr started. They were 0-7 when he didn't start games due to injury. They had 1 loss by more than 7 points with Derek Carr at quarterback. They had 6 losses by more than 7 points without Derek Carr.
Remember, they were the best team.
That's a huge difference at the quarterback position.
They were the best team in the NFL in September.
Week 1 and week 2, they kicked ass, Justin. I mean,
unbelievable.
Now, granted, they kicked Carolina's butt, which now we know that defense was
they
awful.
They killed Dallas.
Right. Then that was even more impressive. But when they beat Carolina, now we know, okay, Carolina freaking stunk. But Dallas' defense, that was a defense that should have gotten their ass kicked. It was Vic Fangio week 3 with the Eagles, where they started playing multiple guys on the fronts. We were playing a 5-man front, and it really disrupted. I don't know.
Disrupted.
Yeah, that too. The Saints multi-personnel look, which we talked about the Falcons not doing. The Saints are really good. 12 personnel, 21, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I don't even hate this roster. The O-line's young. I love Chris Olave. Got to stay healthy. Rashid Shaheed's one of the more fun players to watch in the league. Alvin Kamara's a legend. Brian Bruzzi's starting to come into his own. Yeah. Demario Davis, speaking of linebackers that age like fine wines, Demario Davis should be thrown into that. It's absolutely crazy that he has gotten better in his career. Kool-Aid McKinstry is Alontae Taylor's like an all or nothing player. Yeah. He's either going he's leading the league at pass defense, but also he's going to allow some catches, and you just got to live with that experience. I love Kool-Aid McKinstry going into year 2 as well. Tyrann Mathieu retires for them recently. I guess he didn't want to go through whatever they're going to go through this year. So the roster's there's names, there's pieces, there's things that you like. I just need to know as an organization, and I was talking about this as they were looking for a head coach. Yep. As a head coach, I need to know, what are you expecting of me? Because Mickey
Not
Loomis,
much year 1. They can't panic.
Well, when are they going to make a decision to just tear it down and get their cap situation right?
With Mickey Loomis, never. He never does it. Never happened. Never will. Unless you get rid of Mickey Loomis, which then I feel bad for Kellen Moore. They have to go into this year expecting to be bad, and if they don't, based on this quarterback room, they're freaking.
But then why are you always operating in the red cap wise? If
the cap
there's
is fake.
no
the cap is fake. Mickey Loomis proves that every year.
There's no need to operate like this if you're not in a position where you're looking to win football games. Okay, you have Derek Carr. Whatever you think about that process, okay. You have Drew Brees. Whatever you think about that, go and win. If you think that you have the quarterback and if you think that you have the situation, go and win.
We'll see this more next year. I would be shocked if that's not the case. But I'm going quick, Penik. Kamara's getting older. Quarterback room is very shaky. Kamara set records last year for him personally since 2020, 2021, having a very effective year, but now he's 30 under. It's just plain and simple.
Yeah, I think they're competing for number 1 draft pick spot. My X factor for the Saints is Brandon Cooks. I need the Saints to make Brandon Cooks the most traded player in NFL history. There are 3 players that have been traded 4 times in NFL history. Brandon Cooks, Kiko Alonso, and Eric Dickerson. Brandon Cooks needs to be the first player traded 5 times in his NFL career. He has actually never been traded at a trade deadline before.
It's all been offseason.
It's all been offseason.
Oh, that's funny.
So
they can be the first, have his record-setting trade happen at the deadline for his first time. That'd be kind of cool.
That's what the Saints need to do this year. That's their X factor. So they could. That's outside of maybe being one of the worst teams we've ever seen offensively, with whoever's that quarterback, Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, or whoever. Outside of that, that's how the Saints can make history this year. All right, that's a divisional preview. That's the AFC South. Let's make a decision right now. What division next?
East.
Oh, AFC first.
Yes.
And then the NFC East.
Falcons, Panthers.
Oh, yes.
No, wait.
Bucks.
Panthers, Falcons, Saints.
Bucks, Falcons, Panthers, Saints.
Chicken shit. You wouldn't put the Falcons 3.
It's going to be a battle of mid, though. All right, see you later. See you for the East.